Welcome to the Configure Price Quote podcast. My name is Frank Sohn and I'm the founder of CPQ Consulting. This podcast is 100% focused on Configure Price Quote, also known as CPQ, and will provide you useful insights into this topic. My guest today is David Beebe, who leads Salesforce Revenue Cloud Solutions organization, where he works with specialists and solution engineering teams that help customers modernize quote-to-cash and revenue operations. He appeared on Salesforce programs and webinars discussing the new Revenue Cloud and unified revenue operations, including Dreamforce sessions like Beyond CPQ, Drive Revenue Success with the new Revenue Cloud. Very excited to have him here. Welcome to the CPQ podcast, David.
Thank you, Frank. I am excited to be on the podcast with you, especially as we are so close to Dreamforce 2025 coming up here in the next 2 weeks. I think there's going to be a huge amount of excitement, innovation, and really great topics for people to consume, both in person at Dreamforce and then also, of course, virtually on Salesforce Plus. So looking forward to the podcast with you today.
Absolutely. Same thing here. Was looking forward to this, but let's start a little bit differently. Tell me first a little bit what you did before you joined Salesforce.
Good question. So I've spent most of my career in software, in software and tech. I started my career sort of randomly. There was a job fair at my college. I went to Clemson University, and there was a company called Blackbaud that was there. Blackbaud is a company that creates software solutions for nonprofit organizations. A phenomenal company. Loved my time there. Spent about 9-10 years there. Then from that point moved to Oracle, where I focused my attention on this thing called CPQ, big machines, and spent about 4 years there focused on that. And that's when I joined Salesforce. I'm coming up on 9 years ago and have been part of the Revenue Cloud family the entire time. I spent a lot of my career in the solution engineering side of the house, and have more recently made my way over to the product side of the house, and excited to continue driving innovations and working with customers moving forward.
Excellent. So we clearly established how much experience you have, which is awesome, right? So, but I have also one other question, is especially as a leader, right? So I guess as you went through these different positions, you have grown in responsibility and stuff like this. And I was wondering, what has shaped you mostly as a leader for your teams during this time?
Wow. So a variety of mentors have been critical in my life, both professionally and personally. I've really learned a lot from folks that I've been able to be mentored by, ask them a lot of questions, and learn from their coaching and their challenges. I think one key area of my professional career that shaped me, however, was frankly when I first became a people leader. I first became a people leader in Q4, so on November 1st, which is always a tough time of the year for anyone in sales and solutions. And it was a really, really tough road ahead for that quarter because, again, as you can imagine, it's a huge selling environment. You've got AEs and solution engineers that are demanding. They need a lot right then and there. And I was learning the job on the fly. So that was one of the biggest challenges, frankly, was leaning into authenticity to understand, hey, not everyone works the same way I work. That may sound elementary, but honestly, that was a big lesson to me at first is I need to learn what are the values, what are the benefits that other people bring to the job? How can I activate that so that we can drive maximum success for our teams internally? And of course, more importantly, our customers externally. So I think back to that Q4 pretty frequently. It was tough, but we made it through, and I think I'm better off because of it.
Excellent. Now, one thing I want to ask, I also mentioned that in the introduction, that was your Dreamforce session, right? So, and just, beyond CPQ, drive revenue success with the new Revenue Cloud. What I was wondering in general is, what is different about these Dreamforce sessions than regular sessions? Because you talk often to people, often to an audience. Why is the Dreamforce session different than the other sessions? And then we talk about the session itself.
Yeah, I think the Dreamforce sessions are different because, in the world of Revenue Cloud Advanced, we've unlocked unbelievable innovation. We're 6 releases into this product now. And the amount of innovation and cutting edge features that we've been able to come out with have been astounding. And so, what I like about the Dreamforce sessions is you get a laser focus on what we're releasing with RCA, right? A lot of the other sessions, you may get kind of caught up in stories and cross cloud and that kind of thing. And don't get me wrong, there's a place for that and it's important. But what I love about the Dreamforce sessions is there is a kind of a pure focus on the latest and greatest releases, the latest innovations. So, for example, the advanced configuration and pricing, or end-to-end automation and intelligence, streamlined user and admin experience through like Salesforce Go, for example. And so the Dreamforce sessions create this clarity and this streamlined view of what we're doing with the product itself, which honestly is critical given just the sheer amount of innovation that we've got. Again, 6 releases in.
Excellent. Now tell me about your session itself, right? What is that about? What should people look out for? When is your speaking slot?
Yeah, so my first speaking slot is on the first day, Tuesday. It's the Revenue Cloud keynotes. We've been doing a lot of practice, a lot of preparation for the keynote. I think it is going to be absolutely fantastic. I've already seen the list of registrations, and it's going to be packed. So I would get there early. But I think it's going to be dynamite this year. We have great innovations we're going to highlight. We've got fantastic customers that are going to be on stage with us. And we're going to have a vision of the future from our top execs. So again, that's going to be Tuesday afternoon. I think that one is that's a must-have if you are have any interest in the world of Revenue Cloud. We've got a couple other sessions as well. I'm personally excited about the Invoice-to-Cash Reimagined Revenue Cloud Billing. That's going to be on Wednesday. We've seen unprecedented interest in Revenue Cloud Billing because, it's been a major part of the story for the last couple of years. And our customers are fired up to hear how they can unify their sales and finance with billing. So those are 2 that I'm particularly excited about, but we have dozens that are going to be occurring over the 3 days, and I'll be a part of a few of them.
Excellent. Now, before we talk about Dreamforce a little bit more, I have some more personal questions for you. And
Sure.
one is, what's a common CPQ or billing belief you think is wrong in 2025?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think there's a few of them. I think there's a few common beliefs. I would say the one that stands out to me the most, though, is that your CPQ and billing systems can be treated separately, look, isolated projects. I don't believe that. I think that's inaccurate. You think about this old model of quote to cash, where you've got a rep that creates a quote, they send it to a customer, and then someone else in order operations, for example, takes that order and manually transfers it into a billing system. And that whole thing, that swivel chairing, can be very outdated and very, very costly. And so my mindset has sort of shifted with what the recent data has shown in terms of the high cost of this disconnect and the very, very clear benefits of a unified cycle. So, for example, the cost of errors. There have been plenty of studies that have showed that a significant portion of your invoices are still processed manually. And of course, that's going to lead to a high rate of errors and customer dissatisfaction. So it could be incorrect tax calculations, misapplied discounts, whatever it is, it's going to cost businesses both time, revenue, and it's going to erode customer trust. And then the other point here is when you disconnect those systems, you really can't take advantage of the rise of new and complex business and go-to-market models. So, gone are the days where you sell a thing for a price, apply a discount, and then there you go, you're done, right? Subscriptions, usage-based products, complex bundles, they require systems where the quote, the contract, the order, the invoice are all working in harmony and can dynamically adjust based on inevitable changes that the customer is going to request. And so I think that's been, we've seen in the past, perhaps best of breed of any one particular use case. And frankly, in 2025, to support what customers are demanding, it requires that unified end-to-end flow from CPQ all the way through to billing.
Excellent. I'm already looking forward to discuss this more with the passion that you're talking about. I think that will be really fun. But before I do that, one other thing, what do you like to do when you don't work?
What do I like to do when I don't work? I like to spend a lot of time with the family. My wife and I have four children that range in age from 3 to 16, and so you can imagine that there's all sorts of different things going on for the different age ranges. My older two have a lot of sports on the weekends, and so you'll find me either by a softball or a lacrosse field most of the time. And then my 3-year-old is into dance, so I'll be cheering her on at dance recitals. And my 5-year-old son is he's gotten into jujitsu lately, so that's been new for our family. We didn't really know much about it, and so it's been fun watching him. So we spend a lot of time cheering on the kids. My wife and I do like to travel. We went to the Dominican Republic about a month ago. And stayed at a beautiful place for about 4 or 5 days. And so we do like to see the world where possible. And yeah, so work, a little bit of travel, a lot of kids stuff. That's my fun right now. And of course, sports, my own sports.
What sports do you like?
So my preference is I'm a big college football fan. I am based in the Carolinas. I mentioned earlier, I went to Clemson University. Having a little bit of a down year this year, but I love football of any type. College football probably is my favorite, and I've really gotten to enjoy lacrosse. Like I said, my 16-year-old plays. Didn't know much about it. Really growing here in the Southeast, and so I've tried to keep up with that as well. And of course, since we're in October, postseason baseball is fun. That is fun to watch, and I really enjoy that too. So yeah, that takes up most of my day.
Very cool. So it doesn't sound like it get boring for you anytime soon. And now with the upcoming Dreamforce, I guess it will even get less boring. And let's start with that a little bit. Tell me a little bit what's new and exciting in regards to Revenue Cloud Advanced RCA ahead of Dreamforce 2025.
Yeah. So right now, most of the buzz for Revenue Cloud is it's not so much, kind of feature specific, although our latest release does have a lot of really, really exciting stuff in there, and I'll get into that. But a lot of the buzz is about speed, making things smarter, and more intuitive for everyone, right? That's what folks are really asking about. How can I make this faster, more scalable, and how can I make it so that my end users are working through this, with an absolute breeze? And so what we're kind of discussing is how do you reimagine user experience, boosting quoting flexibility, and utilizing powerful new tools like revenue management intelligence to reimagine how you're going to change everything from the config to the pricing to the ongoing assets. And so I think that there's a couple of specific topics that I'm excited about for at Dreamforce. Number one on my mind, honestly, is probably Salesforce Go. So the idea behind Salesforce Go is a new guided setup for administrators to reduce the setup time and errors. We're seeing preliminary numbers by up to 92%. So think about it like having an expert who knows everything about Salesforce setup sitting right there with you. That's Salesforce Go to make sure that your system and the usage of it truly is flawless. I think some of the other things that we're thinking about is the flexible quoting and transactions. So the new transaction line editor, it's a big overhaul and consolidates groups into a single interface. We support nested groups, ramped bundles, ramped usage, quick product adding, bulk deletion. I think about our transaction line editor as my canvas, right? I'm putting together the canvas of the deal, and we've made some really impressive updates and upgrades to make that even more seamless and even easier for our end users. And then one of the conversations that we've been having a lot lately is just about the world of asset management. As you may know, as we move into RCA, we take more of an asset-based approach, right? And so this asset management has been really, really improved with the ability to transfer between accounts, co-terminate new quotes on contract end dates, and even roll back transactions as well. Plus, you get an understanding as contracts are amended over time, how that stair-step pattern happens both up and down across the life of an asset. And I don't want to leave out Revenue Cloud Billing. Like I said earlier, I think that this is a big part of our story, big part of our portfolio. And so we're getting the billing is getting major love, updates for self-service, automation, and core accounting functions as well. One of the biggest things I think it's going to be a huge talking point for us, it's usage and consumption, right? And so usage is not only important, of course, in the quoting side of the house, but it's important on the billing side as well. So support for tokens and commitments, allowing the consumption processing and invoicing of those usage-based products, and then automatically tracking against commitments and calculating overages, those that new selling model, it's a big part of the conversation. And we're not just talking tech companies. Those are sort of the early grounds of it, but companies of all types and sizes and industries are interested in the full process, including consumption and usage. So we could talk for an entire hour about the enhancements that are coming, but those are some of the top points for me.
Excellent. And I want to dig a little bit deeper here on some things, right? So I would like to understand what for you personally is the most exciting, right? So because for me, I would tell you, for example, product configurator, since I've done this for a long time, right? So that was in the beginning is always interesting. So I would always look out, hey, what's new, like with the advanced configurator in RCA? What's personally most interesting for you?
Yeah. I will plus one that. So, a new friendlier configurator. So it's getting a bigger upgrade. So, the constraint builder UI, a lot more intuitive moving forward. So, you can use like plain natural language for your rules, combine it with different logical operators, and then create rules to help guide users. And if something goes wrong, then we do have debugging tools to really help you figure out why in a very straightforward way. So I would plus one that in terms of the configurator. I've already kind of mentioned two of them. One, usage. This is where we're getting a lot of big enhancements. Customers want flexible pricing, right? They want it to align with the value that they receive, but that can be tough for downstream billing as well. And so with Revenue Cloud, the goal is to empower our customers with usage-based products, clear commitments, transparent overages, and then, of course, have that roll all the way down into billing for one consolidated invoice. I think some add-ons to our agentic operations within Revenue Cloud. We can talk a little bit more about that later on. But I used to say, well, Revenue Cloud, we've got a great relationship with agents because especially 6 to 9 months ago, it was everywhere, right? And it was like, well, we don't have agents that are taking over every single part of Revenue Cloud. But as we've moved forward throughout the process, agents are becoming a bigger and bigger and bigger topic, whether it's quoting, whether it's contracts, whether it's billing, whether it's consumption. Agents are here to stay. And so we're thinking of how to fold them into Revenue Cloud in really elegant and productive ways. And then I would say, and I've mentioned it a couple of times, Salesforce Go. I think this is a big deal, right? This is a piece of capability. It's a function, it's a capability that's going to walk alongside and help with guided setup of Revenue Cloud. And I think companies of all sizes are going to be able to take advantage of it. We're really excited to see how it gets used in the field and how we can continue to make enhancements so that the setup of Revenue Cloud becomes easier and easier and drives more time to value.
Are you evaluating CPQ solutions? The Novo CPQ briefing subscription gives you vendor-neutral briefs you can read in minutes. They are built for the early step of selection, moving from a long list to a focused shortlist of 5 to 10 vendors. Each brief explains capabilities, where it fits, and what to watch out for. No hype. Many subscribers pair the briefs with AI tools like ChatGPT or Gemini to search faster and compare options. If you want clarity before RFPs and demos start, learn more at novocpq.com/cpq-briefing-subscription. Shortlist faster. And now I have a challenging question for you, David. So, and because I guess you will not be popular with your colleagues potentially when I ask you that, right? But it will help your customers. So, because you mentioned you have a ton of different sessions at Dreamforce, right?
Yeah.
Tell me 3 that people should not miss if they're really interested in RCA.
Frank, you're gonna make me pick. I don't go to all of them. Yeah, gosh, you're right. We do have a big footprint this year, which is awesome. So the brand of Revenue Cloud definitely growing, and it's good to see that. Listen, selfishly, I'm going to say number one's the Keynote. There's going to be a ton of stuff in there. Again, customer conversations, our top execs speaking, great demos of new capabilities. It will be streaming as well, so you don't necessarily have to be there live, but we would recommend it, of course. So I would say that's probably number one. There is a session operationalizing consumption models with Revenue Cloud. Even if your organization is not, sort of full bore into usage or consumption, or you haven't even started it, I personally think it's good. Go learn more, right? Unlock a potential growth lever with consumption, because Revenue Cloud will help do that, tracking usage, safeguarding predictability, simplifying the process. That's going to be on Wednesday, and I think it's worth going again if your company is all the way in on usage, you haven't even started, or you're somewhere in between. It's good to go learn something new. And then I would say, and I mentioned this one before, but like truly, again, the Invoice to Cash reimagined session for Revenue Cloud billing. I've been seeing the prep work that's being put into it. Billing, obviously released earlier this year, is a huge unlock for our customers, and it's the end of the story, right, for Revenue Cloud, and so it's an incredibly important part. And I think the people, again, even if you are implementing billing, you're considering it, you're utilizing something else, and just want to know more, those are going to be three good sessions to not miss. And then finally, we're going to have hands-on workshops as well. So if you want to go play around and have us put our money where our mouth is, we've got some hands-on workshops that'll be happening all throughout the week. So you're right. I'm not going to be popular, but go to all of them. But those are the three that I'm not going to miss for sure.
No, excellent. And I think especially the billing one is interesting because also when I wrote the CPQ sales report for Salesforce, right? So I think I mentioned billing was the most immature at this time, and to see what progress is made is probably interesting for anyone who's interested in this anyway. Anyway, we can talk about this later, but now give me one of the main reasons why customers should buy RCA right now. I work with a lot of new customers, right? And that's one of the key questions. Why now? Why, what is it?
Yeah. Why now? Great question. I've got a couple different thoughts on why now. So listen, we've been working absolutely tirelessly across product and engineering to craft what I would consider to be the most innovative AI-ready platform that, like I mentioned earlier, unifies the whole revenue lifecycle: quoting, contracts, billing, asset management, invoicing, all in a single native architecture. And so what I love about this is we're inviting more and more types of users to this party. In the past, it's sales leadership, sales operations, but with RCA, it's not just sales. Add on RevOps. RevOps being a huge topic, right? All of a sudden, we've got this whole wide array of leaders of RevOps and CROs, right? That has really grown in the last couple of years. So sales, RevOps, finance and billing, order operations, and of course, the customers themselves. We want the customers to be able to log in via Experience Cloud and see what their usage is, pay off their invoices. And so we're inviting a huge number of people to the party. And so now is the time to kind of reimagine your business. How do you put everything all in one place instead of separate tools for quotes, billing, revenue? RCA brings them all together. It's less manual work and fewer mistakes, and you're not wasting your time trying to match data from different systems. And it's so to kind of tie it up, RCA it's the next step for businesses that have outgrown their systems. It's for companies that want to streamline operations, reduce headaches, and just get a clearer picture of their revenue, again, for every stakeholder across the spectrum.
Excellent. Then let's look at the different components of RCA a little bit more, and let's start with the dynamic revenue orchestrator, right? So because I still see some questions around it, also
Yeah.
from potential customers, what pain does it remove in order processing and ramp deal management, and where should customers start?
Sure. I'll be very transparent. I know I shouldn't pick a favorite feature. I think this is mine though. Like this is, especially coming from a world of CPQ and billing, I was absolutely blown away to see not only DRO in the first place, but what it does. So it's more than just order processing, right? It is streamlining fulfillment to, in my opinion, an unprecedented degree. So taking your orders and decomposing them into their entitlements and technical assets, future dated orchestrations, and making sure that any change that happens over time is handled effortlessly within the fulfillment process. And so what's important about this is, again, you remember how I said earlier, we're bringing in a whole set of new users? Well, you know who's using DRO? It's your order operations folks. It's your finance. It's the customers themselves trying to understand where their order even is in the first place. And so that is what DRO is really all about, is again, that streamlined visibility into order decomposition and fulfillment. Because once you sell something to the customer, you want to get it into their hands as quickly and as accurately as possible. You mentioned ramp deals as well. This is one of the newer innovations, and I could not be more fired up about this. So let's say you have a ramp deal, you want to sell it over 36, 48 months, whatever the case may be. DRO factors that in as well. So it doesn't just manage the ramps, but it actually optimizes them. So you can have a staged assetization and the intelligent orchestration of different segments. And then by doing that, you, of course, ensure accurate provisioning, making sure everything starts on the right date for the right quantity. And then, of course, precise billing, making sure that your invoicing, your rev rec, is all accurate and you minimize financial discrepancies. So it's a newer capability for Revenue Cloud customers, but I think it's a massive unlock for them as well.
Got it. Then, and very interesting. Then let's go to the pricing engine, right? So what's new and exciting in regards to the pricing engine?
Less hassle, more power. I think is how I would describe it. So the main goal for especially this release was to make the pricing engine stronger and more reliable. So we focused on features like attribute-based pricing, for example, so it can handle more complex rules without working too terribly hard. If your pricing, depends on logical operators like and an or a specific range of values or attributes and tiers, the pricing engine handles it all much more smoothly and powerfully and much more quickly. Most of our customers have sophisticated pricing models. That is a big reason why you would buy Revenue Cloud in the first place. Again, if you just and we have customers, don't get me wrong, that they sell a thing for a price and they don't really have a lot of complexity, but they have complexity elsewhere. But most of them have some complexity. And it means fewer errors and a much more stable platform moving forward. And then I think just the overall connective tissue. So our new enhancements, and this is something that I, again, am very, very, very excited about. The new enhancements for pricing improve the interoperability with commerce, sales, and industry clouds as well. That is a huge step forward with our delivery of the customer 360 so that you can, the whole business runs on the same page, whether you are an energy and utilities company, a media company, a comms account, doesn't matter because we've used that pricing engine to underpin all of those C360 and cross-cloud applications.
Got it. So now I have to talk a topic that we've talked about before, right? AI. And I think I talked to everyone about that for the last 2.5 years. Everyone is interested in it. What I'm interested to learn from you is where is AI most successfully used by your customers, right? And give me just 1, 2, 3 use case where you see that being most successfully being applied.
Sure. I would say that for us, especially this new release, it's a pretty big upgrade for anyone working with Revenue Cloud and Agentforce. The enhancements that we've made are about, again, making quoting faster and more intuitive, less clicks, and quicker to close a deal. So like the quoting agent, for example, right? This is a specific use case. It got a pretty big overhaul with a new template designed for managing renewals. For example, renewals business is the lifeblood of so many of our customers. And so to be able to combine it with a quoting agent, you can now seamlessly and easily update contracts, add subscriptions, and find the right add-on products as you're going through that process. So the quoting agent has already done a great job of setting up new quotes and new deals, but being able to utilize it as part of the renewals process is critical. And then we've got some additional topics that are available as well. Quoting topic, which allows sales reps to work conversationally and just handle a bunch of tasks by just typing. And then the product selection topic. So that's a big deal for our customers is, I want my sales reps to be able to find the right thing to sell to their customer. And so the product selection topic helps to find the right item. You ask it a question, uses natural language search, and the products get brought in with the proper product with all of the right details that they need to put together both a technically and commercially viable quote for their customer. And so I think for us, we are still getting started. I mentioned earlier, consumption agent, billing agent, contracts agent. Like that is probably one of the biggest upsides of Revenue Cloud moving forward is the continued evolution of Agentforce and how it gets utilized.
Excellent. So then the last question that I want to ask you is the transition from Salesforce CPQ to Salesforce RCA. I see lots of competitors who jump on this, right? So I see customers who are uncertain. My understanding so far, and correct me if I'm wrong, is most customers so far are new to Salesforce potentially, right? So the transition hasn't really started from what I can see, and you correct me, right? So, but it's like, so when that starts, what is key to consider for customers? Or if it has already started, just tell me about it.
Yeah. Well, we have a mix. We have our RCA customers are a mix of customers that are new to the Revenue Cloud brand, and then customers that have been using Salesforce CPQ and CPQ Plus for many years. I would say your statement was accurate, where a larger percentage of those customers are newer to the Revenue Cloud brand. Which means that there's going to be a whole lot of runway for our existing CPQ customers, and obviously it's something to consider. Your question specifically is where should they start? What should they think about? It's not really going to be any different than the review of any other quote to cash project, right? It's reviewing your setup, what works for you today, what's a pain for you today, and how can you rectify that in the future? This may sound a little hokey, but dreaming big. What are your long-term revenue goals? What do you want to be doing 3, 5, 7, 10 years from now? Do you want a new subscription model, billing automation, contract approvals? And think through that, because as you're considering the move into RCA, there is a massive amount of horsepower available to you, but you don't just want to replicate what you have today, right? It's not just a lift and shift. So understand, what can RCA do? What can Agentforce do? What can the different automations do from an end-to-end perspective? And I think the biggest part of it, investing in change management. New systems of any type are going to look and feel different. And if you do it right, especially if you're coming from something that may be a little tough to use, that it should look really different. So plan for the proper training, get excited about the change, and then that transition will smooth out, and your sales reps are going to get back to selling. So that's kind of the way I think through it. Again, not terribly different than any other quote to cash project, but just factoring in some of those is going to make a real change.
Got it. So I think a couple of listeners are probably interested to see where they can meet you or the team at Dreamforce, right? Maybe you can give something about that, and everyone who listens to it later, tell them how they can get a hold of you if they have follow-up questions.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, of course, I'm available on LinkedIn. So feel free to connect with me, send me a message, and would be happy to engage. So on the Dreamforce stage, we're gonna be everywhere. So I would utilize the Dreamforce app and make sure you're going and looking for Revenue Cloud sessions, because there's going to be a lot of us there. There's going to be folks from product management, from marketing, from sales, from solutions, from support. There's going to be a lot of people there, plus our huge partner ecosystem. I am so incredibly thrilled. I plan to spend a lot of time with our partners in a lot of their spaces, right? Because a lot of our partners have their own spaces near Moscone. And so we're going to be in the partner ecosystem. We're going to be in their places. We're going to be at our sessions. We're going to be in hands-on workshops. And most importantly, this is probably the part I love the most, we're going to be in SICs. So work with your account executive to set up an SIC or a meeting or something where we can sit down and we can talk business, about where you are today and where you want to be in the future.
Excellent. David, I wish you lots of successes, Dreamforce, and thank you very much for making time for the CPQ podcast today.
Absolutely, Frank. Thanks for the time.
I'd like to thank everyone for listening and hope you learned something interesting today. If you like the podcast, please go ahead and rate it on iTunes or share it with your friends and colleagues. In the meantime, you can find us online at www.novocpq.com. So long, everyone.